College football championship weekend is here. We're going to go through 5 conference championship games and we're going to give you our favorite pick for all of them. As always, my name is Austin. I'm joined by Logan. Logan, it is good to see you. I need to let you do a quick victory lap last week. You dominated the Bucks, a 5-in-1 week. I went 3-3, but man, overlooked and overshadowed by your 5-in-1 week. You might be heating up just for the time for the playoffs like you did last year. We'll see if you can stay hot though for championship weekend. Logan, anything to say before we dive into these games?
Well, no, as you mentioned last season, I didn't miss a single pick in the college football playoffs. I got hot at the right time, and I don't want to speak too soon, but I'm feeling very good about this slate, and hopefully we can keep a little hot streak going.
Absolutely do just that. As always, the games are time stamped down below because the first one will actually begin on Friday. So if maybe you're watching this after the fact, well, skip forward to the next game and hopefully we sound smart as we have North Texas taking on Tulane. North Texas, 2.5 point favorites, over under 66.5, a big one. But Logan, what do you like in this Friday night game? What do you feel?
You mentioned the total is sky high. We're seeing a 66.5 total, and you know what, Austin? I don't think the odds maker set it high enough. I'm rolling with the over. I absolutely love the over as my favorite angle in this one. No, the last time I remember kind of watching North Texas was they hosted a big home game against South Florida. Their defense got ran through. I was like, wow, this team really does not prioritize the defensive side of the ball. And I think the same can kind of be said for Tulane. I think there's a lot of point potential in this one. North Texas has been on an offensive tear all season long. They've scored 31 or more points in every game, 52 or more in 3 straight. This team just runs up the score, and I'm totally fine with that for an over. They will not settle for field goals in the red zone. It's really touchdown or bust, which is what I want. They're second in the nation in passing, first in the nation in total offense. They keep their foot on the gas pedal for the whole 60 minutes. Tulane's pass defense, I just don't think they're equipped to stop them. They've been hit for more than 300 passing yards 5 times this season, and they're 121st in passing yards allowed. And then we can look at their offensive side of the ball. I think Tulane, they're a pretty balanced offense. Obviously, North Texas is a little bit more pass heavy, but they are averaging about 5 yards per carry, which matches up well against a pretty poor North Texas run defense that gives up almost 5 yards a carry. A big matchup problem for them. They're 129th in rushing yards allowed. Again, if you're able to dictate tempo on the ground, that really can open it up for Retzlaff and this passing game. Jake Retzlaff has been absolutely slinging it for Tulane, and this is why this is a big ranked matchup. You don't typically see that in the AAC, and this one has college football playoff implications. I love the over in this one. I think we see points galore.
Yeah, Logan, I like it. I forgot to mention at the top of the show, I will have player props in every single game at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. In terms of this game, though, I'm rolling with North Texas, the mean green. You could take them on the money line at -130. I'll do the -2.5 for all the reasons you said. Their offense is legit. I mean, putting up 50+ points every single game. Tulane, they can run the football a bit. They're more balanced than North Texas, but I'm just not bought in on Tulane here, man. They've looked all right this season. Obviously, they made it this far. They're 10-2. But now that their head coach is leaving, you might know where he's going, heading to Florida. I know he's allowed to coach these games, but just doesn't feel like how locked in are we going to be? Now, if they were undefeated, maybe. But again, they just don't. I feel like he might have checked out already. And I know they want to finish the season strong. But when you have like that white elephant lingering in the room, like, yeah, I'm leaving you guys pretty quickly. Like, I'm getting the heck out of here. All these players are maybe looking for their next. Maybe they're going to transfer, find some different NIL deals and stuff like that. So I'll fade that. I'll take North Texas, which has been great this season. Their only loss was that game against South Florida. I think they've been rolling teams, scoring 50+ in 3 straight. I don't know if Tulane can hang around here, especially given all those circumstances. So I'm rolling with North Texas. I'm taking them. Let's move to our next game. We have BYU taking on Texas Tech at 12 p.m. start down in Dallas and probably Jerry World, I would imagine. Over under 49.5. Texas Tech 12.5 point favorites. We saw this game earlier this season. It felt like a big spread when Texas Tech was big favorites and they smacked a BYU team that I believe was undefeated at that point. Logan, do you see that same kind of recipe happening this week or a different change of game from the first time these two teams matched up?
I think the first time these two teams match up, it was definitely advantage Texas Tech. And once again, though, I think BYU can make some changes, but I just think the way better football team is Texas Tech. So I'm rolling with them. Again, 12.5 is not a small number at all. I think laying the spread in this case is not for the faint of heart because there's a realistic possibility they could win this game by like 10 points and BYU could backdoor it. That all being said, I just think, as we mentioned, 29-7 last time these two teams faced. Texas Tech scored in every quarter, didn't allow BYU until the end zone, until really garbage time. So really, it was a decisive Texas Tech victory. Don't let that final score fool you. They just dominated that game. They kind of let their foot off the gas. They could have scored even more if they wanted to. That Texas Tech defense gave up just 255 total yards. Mind you, BYU was trailing in that game the whole game. 3.9 yards per play. Held BYU to 3 for 14 on third down, and also 3 takeaways as a defense. So that's the recipe to just dominate a football game once again. If you get off on the field on third down, that's just how these college football games are decided. That's how football in general is decided. But especially with these teams, if you're putting these opponents in third down and long and not giving up those conversions, you will be in a great spot for this Texas Tech bet. Their defense, led by Jacob Rodriguez, you'll see him playing on Sundays. He's absolutely a baller. He's one of the best players in college football. They're third in points allowed and first in rushing yards allowed. That's kind of where BYU is going to attack this Texas Tech defense. They're going to want to run the football, but this Texas Tech offense is just as good as their defense. Third in points scored, ninth in passing yards. And even though they came back to win, BYU was down 14-0 against UCF. And I just want to say, you're a UCF guy. That's your alum. UCF stood no chance of winning that game, but the fact that they were able to kind of hang around and make BYU nervous, that just puts Texas Tech on a different level. So I think it's the Red Raiders in this one.
I wish I could disagree with you a ton, but I do actually. I'm not necessarily fading you. In fact, our same picks hit in the last time these two teams played. I'm taking Texas Tech's team total under 31.5. I think they win that game. I think they do, but I think BYU can keep it somewhat competitive. And if it is competitive, the game has to be low scoring. BYU's offense, I don't think, can light up the scoreboard against the Red Raiders defense. And like you said, in that first matchup, BYU didn't do well. They struggled on third down, as you pointed out. They had 3 turnovers in that game, and they never really got the ground game going. LJ Martin, their leading rusher all season long, only 35 yards on 10 carries. I'd be surprised if they did not try very hard to get him going, whether that's on the ground or in the air. They need him. He's basically their whole offense. Bear Bachmeier can make some plays, but they need LJ Martin to be cooking. I think they can, and I think if they are able to do that, we slow the game down, make this a possession type game. I don't see Texas Tech putting a 35 piece, basically, is what they're going to have to do, because you don't see teams often scoring 32, 33. It's going to be either 31 or 35 most likely, or more. I like fading Texas Tech here. I still think they could win and cover just like they did the first time, 29-7. But I'll take a chance on the BYU defense showing up here. Our next game, we have Georgia taking on Alabama. Georgia looking to get their lick back after losing to the Crimson Tide earlier this season, their lone loss on their record. Do you think they can bounce back here, Logan? Or you think the Crimson Tide keep having the Dogs number and keep rolling here and win the SEC championship?
I am rolling with the Tide in this one. Give me Alabama. I'll take them plus the points in this one. I don't really think it's going to matter. I think they win this game outright, and the points are null. But again, when offered, we'll take them. You mentioned Kirby Smart has dominated most teams. Talk about history. He's 1-7 against Alabama. Has not beaten them in the Kalen DeBoer era. That's something to note, because this is a different Alabama era. This is a different Alabama team, and I think this Alabama team has everything going for them right now. I did like that matchup. I like how they finished that game against Auburn. It was so gutsy on fourth down not to kick a field goal and instead to trust Ty Simpson in that offense. And that's what's getting them to this point. And I think that's what's going to get them over the hump once again against Georgia. There's just a whole lot of offensive weapons for this Alabama offense. And I just don't think that Georgia's defense is equipped to stop them all and just take away everything Alabama wants to do. Following their week 1 upset to Florida State. We remember that game. It's the biggest anomaly of the college football season, the fact that Alabama looks so bad on the road against Tallahassee. Alabama hasn't let an opponent score more than 24 points all season since that point. So that was like the wake-up call for them, and they have been an underdog 11 times since 2008. They're 8-3 in those games. Something to note. There's a good plus value opportunities out there for this Alabama team. We'll talk more trends. 3-1 against the spread when underdogs of 3 points or more in their last 4 meetings versus Georgia. The books, I don't think, know how to price this game. I'll be honest. I just don't think you have opportunities to bet Alabama at plus money, given that I just think they match up very well against Georgia. I don't think Georgia and Gunnar Stockton are really going to have the chances to go pound for pound with Ty Simpson and this Alabama offense. They're so explosive. Give me Alabama.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'll be on the Crimson Tide. I can't ignore the trends where they've just dominated Georgia over the last, 8+ seasons. And I'm going to keep rolling with them. I mean, they are, I would argue, I know Georgia's looking to bounce back here, but Georgia's going to make the playoffs regardless, I believe, win or loss here. Alabama's not making it if they lose. They can't. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I know there's some SEC bias in there, but you can't put a 3-loss Alabama team in there. You just can't. And so I do think Alabama's going to be hungry. They've had their number. And again, they match up really well against them. Ty Simpson's great. I'm still not 100% bought in on Gunnar Stockton. The Georgia defense has been good, but again, they've been in some games like last week, barely beating Georgia of Georgia Tech. I think this is a tight game. I like taking the +2.5. Like you said, I think they win on the money line, but I'll ride with the Crimson Tide as well. You can't ignore it. The trends are trends for a reason. I know you can say they're meant to be broken, but can't ignore it until it's broken. I can't go away from the Crimson Tide against Georgia. They just always own them for whatever reason. And we have 2 more games. We got the ACC Championship, and then the next game is one of the biggest games, if not the biggest, on the slate. But today we have Duke versus Virginia. We got to get through this game. Duke, who would have thought if you told me at the beginning of the season, hey, ACC Championship, Duke versus Virginia, I think people would have sent you to get tested for something because who would have thought these 2 teams would be here? But alas, that's where we are. Virginia's 3.5-point favorites. One of these 2 teams has got to win over under 57.5. What are you feeling in this game in Charlotte? Prime time.
Yeah, this game does have college football implications because Virginia theoretically would be in with a win. It's really nasty, but I do think Virginia does get the job done. I'll take a -3.5. I hate ACC football, number one, because I think it's a very weak conference. I think whoever comes out, if they do put in Virginia into the college football playoff, they'll still get steamrolled. Not a good team at all. But this Duke team is very, very hard to measure. Some weeks they look great, some weeks they lay absolute eggs. These 2 teams faced off in Week 12. Virginia controlled the game start to finish, leading 17-3 at halftime, finishing 34-17 with a pretty decisive win. Historically speaking, Virginia owns this matchup, 9-1 straight up and against the spread in the last 10 meetings against Duke. I just think they're the better team. They're playing better football right now. Virginia's offense more balanced than Duke. 438 yards, 34 points per game. Chandler Morris and Jamari Taylor have been great. Duke really relies heavily on Darian Mensah to make plays on the ground, through the air. And Darian Mensah has kind of impressed me on the back half of this season. But he's still one of those quarterbacks that I just down the stretch, I don't think he's going to be able to make the plays when needed. And we look at Duke's defense. They're putting him constantly behind. I mean, they give up 30.5 points per game, 131st in the nation in passing yards allowed. That's why it's like Darian Mensah has to get in shootouts most weeks to even like bring Duke into puncher's chance in this one. Virginia's really tough to beat in these scoring situations. 3.9 their defense 3.9 third down conversions per game. That's 6th best in the country, holding opponents to 33.3 scoring rate in the red zone over those 3 games. And then on paper, Virginia's defense 24th in points allowed, 28th in yards per play allowed. Duke last week, Austin, I'm not here to clown you for your under, but Duke's defense just it was like 4 play touchdowns. And I just don't think that's sustainable against a good Virginia defense that doesn't allow those quick plays that Wake Forest defense allowed. So think of bad matchup for Duke. Give me Virginia.
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of your points, but I will be fading you outright. Give me Duke. I feel like every time you get involved with ACC matchups, you're always wrong. Wake Forest, it's Duke. I mean, I'm going to fade you. And not because I think that you're wrong. I do think Virginia is probably the better team here, but I think a fix is coming in. There's no way they want Virginia in the college football playoff. They can't. And Duke won't make it because they won't be ranked even if they win that game. There's got to be a fix put in here. And I think Darian Mensah and company get the job done. I know they did lose by 17. They got smoked in the last game. But if you're telling me Virginia's going to go 12 of 19 on third down again, I'd be like, yeah, they're probably going to get smoked again. They had 540 yards of offense. I don't know if they're able to duplicate that. I like Duke's offense more. I think they're able to put up points here, and they're getting a little bit of revenge. I'm just saying, dude, this number feels too easy to just take Virginia. They're the ranked team here. Duke stinks. But Duke, man, they ruined me last week, though. Maybe I'm mistaken trying to trust their offense because they smoked my under, but I'm gonna trust them here. I think Mensah and company keep this game tight. It's a field goal at best, and the college football playoff does not want a Virginia victory. They don't. They'd have to put Virginia in there. No one wants to watch that game. You want to watch Virginia against, I don't know who, a top 2, 3, 4 team? Heck
Like
no.
No, I don't want to watch them play like a SEC team like Ole Miss because I think they will get rolled. But again, you I think are discounting how bad that Duke defense is. But we will see.
The Duke
Little fade
defense is bad.
opportunity.
Yeah. Right. Hand up, they're bad, but I'm rolling with Duke. We'll see if that one goes. Our final game of the week, Logan, before getting a couple player props, the biggest game of the weekend, I would argue, Indiana versus Ohio State, the battle of the first and second ranked team. The line opened up at 5.5 for Ohio State. I saw a bunch of posts on Twitter saying it was the freest wager of the weekend. And the book said, you know what? We agree with you. Let's drop it to 4.5. And here we are. I should say OSU minus 200, not Oregon, but 47.5 is a total. Logan, what are you doing here in the final, the Big Ten championship? What you got?
This is a really interesting game because we watched Ohio State kind of slug it out against Michigan. Finally got the demons off their back, as I predicted in that one. But I'm rolling with the under in this one. I think it's the best play to play rather than just have to guess who wins / covers. Because I could see Indiana being feisty, maybe backdoor spreading, even maybe winning this game outright. But let's talk about how these two teams match up because Ohio State has not allowed more than 16 points all season, and only 4 teams have even reached double digits against them. To say their defense is dominant is an understatement. The way they were able to go into Michigan and in the Big House in a huge game, and their defense just they looked like an NFL type defense. And I'm not comparing them to an NFL. I'm just saying the overwhelming scheme that Matt Patricia has them playing is really working for them. And I don't think Indiana is really going to stand a chance against it. They generate a ton of pressure. They that's what I'm saying. Schematically, they remind me of an NFL defense because they're just able to bring pressure from so many different angles. And in college, it takes amazing communication to be able to block that sort of pressure. And a lot of these teams can't do it. 2.5 sacks per game. That's ranked in the top 25 in the nation. And now they face a really good Indiana offense. I think their defense still holds. Indiana's defense also a little bit better on paper than people think. They've allowed multiple touchdowns just once in their last 6 games, and opponents have scored fewer than 17 points in 5 of their last 6 matchups. So I think their defense is coming into form in this last half of the season. And this game is really going to be dominated by controlled, sustained drives. Indiana, 29.4 seconds per play. Ohio State, 31.8 seconds per play. That's the longest mark in the nation. So these two teams are not excited. They're not teams that are just going to put pedal to the metal, hurry up, high tempo. Each of these teams want to possess the ball, play ground and pound, and that I'm totally fine with that. I think we know a lot of offensive talents on these two sides of the ball, but it's the defense that will dictate this one. Give me the under.
I do like that play, but I really don't like full game unders. I feel like there's always just some garbage that comes in. So I'm actually on the first half under 24.5. I do agree with you. I think it's a slow start. I don't know what the stat is on Ohio State in terms of first down or touchdowns that they've allowed so far this season in the first half. I know at some point in the season, it was basically they had not allowed a single one. I think it's a slower start game. You already talked about these two teams, chewing clock and whatnot. I think it's another case of that. So I do think it's a slower paced game here. I'm rooting for a good one. The fact the line came down to 4.5 and it is indicative of hopefully a competitive game here. I know Indiana likes to run up the score, but they run up the score on the bad teams. I think this is a tight game through and through. If you had to bet a spread in this one, though, Logan, who would you be on? I know the people
I can't go against. I don't think I would have the stones to go against Ohio State because I just think they're a team once again on a mission. Julian Saint's playing great. Even it's crazy because I watched this post game interview in Michigan, and he was talking about all the mistakes he made and how his teammates just like rallied behind him. And I'm like, he's a young quarterback, but he has so much offensive weapons on. It doesn't even really matter how good or bad he plays. When you get to chuck it up to Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith. Yeah, you can have a lot of very average quarterbacks back there. So it's like Julian saying he hasn't played perfect at all, and Ohio State still rolls, again, on the backs of their defense a lot. And I think the margin for error for Indiana is just going to be too tight in this one. I think in order for Indiana to win this game, they're going to have to play near perfect on the offensive side of the ball, and I just don't see it happening. So I think Ohio State they haven't won many Big Ten championships, if I'm not mistaken, like under Ryan Day as much, right? Like what's the history on that look like?
Not 100% certain, but I do agree with you. I think I'd be back on Ohio State. I know you could get sharp trying to take Indiana, and I hope the Indiana covers. It'd be cool to see a great
Yeah.
game plus 4.5. That probably would be it. But I do agree with you. It feels bad fading Ohio State, though. I just don't think I could sleep at night doing that. Did you find your info while you were looking up?
I'm looking at the past winners because like everyone's talked about his like Michigan monkey off his back. Yeah, look at the last. They haven't won since 2020. They have not won the Big Ten championship since 2020. So that's why I think they're kind of like poised to do it this year because Michigan's won it 21, 22, 23. Oregon won it last year. I think they're hungry enough to like want to do it because being the number one team in the nation, it's like they know they're still in the college football playoff regardless of what happens. But I think they're gonna want to go win that for the program and put it on their Big Ten championship on the board.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. All right, Logan, I'm going to wrap the video with some player props. Let's dive into some props from all of these games that I just touched on. Again, we play them on Underdog Fantasy. If you've never signed up for Underdog, code COS. They will give you a free pick. They'll give you a play $5. You get $100 in bonus funds. Take advantage if it's in your state. Go sign up. Code COS. Get those deposit matches and stuff like that. Here are my 5 favorite plays. We have Drew Mestamaker to throw 2 touchdowns. LJ Martin, I told you, I think he gets going. Rushing receiving yards. Ty Simpson, I think he's going to have to throw it, even though I think they win. I think he's going to have to throw it at least 33 times. Mendoza, I think this is a grinded out game. They're not able to run. He's throwing at 28. He's had some games where he throws like 6 passes, but he will be having to throw it. And then Darian Mensa. Come on, Duke. Get the job done. 2 pass touchdowns. A little couple bucks on that. 9.35 extra money. That is college football championship weekend, baby. Let's have ourselves a week. Let's sweep the board. And of course, we'll have some more plays for the bowl games coming up soon. And we'll obviously be back for all the playoff games. It's Austin Logan. We're out of here. Have a great weekend. Good luck if your team's playing. And man, these games should be very, very exciting. Let's enjoy them. See you in the next one. Peace.